Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Anahita TV. Today, I'm going to talk about a seminar or webinar I watched that was of Grant Cardone's. He's actually here in Malibu, which is down the street from where I live. It's only like a 15-minute drive. I hope I run into him while he's here because I'm a big fan of his. I've been a fan of his since the day I met him back, I believe 14 years ago, because he's 64. I met him at his birthday party, at his 50th birthday party, which was at the Sunset Hills. He actually was a speaker at I believe to motivate car sales people. And one of my cousins who's a GM and it's in the car industry is a good friend of his, and that's how we were invited to the party. Never mind how elaborate and amazing that party was, and so many stars and starlets attended the party. It was a wonderful time, and it actually inspired me. The home that he was in was gorgeous. It was right across Leonardo DiCaprio's home. So I was just in awe of what this man had created. A man who was not very, he didn't think he was the smartest person. These are his words, not mine. He was saying that he was going through drug and alcohol abuse for a long time, and then finally he decided, which was a great time, like I believe if he was 25, he made a decision to make his life happen for him. And anyway, to make a long story short, let's begin. Today he had a seminar or a webinar live on a Saturday morning. Meanwhile, he's living in Malibu, and he could be out there swimming with the dolphins or whatnot and having fun with his wife, his kids on the beach. But instead, he gave us these amazing tips, and I'd love to share them with you. So I watched the seminar, and I was really inspired by it because he was talking about marketing was his main point, and branding yourself. So I stopped making videos, and I have a powerful message, and I feel like by branding myself, by getting the word out there about myself, I can actually help a lot of people achieve their goals. I'm an intuitive healer, and what that means is that I'm very intuitive, and I was able to heal different parts of my life. I am actually a cancer survivor, and I've never revealed that. I was sort of ashamed of it, and I feel like it's time that, not that being ill is something to be ashamed of. It is how the nature of this disease is. Unfortunately, those who have experienced it know what I'm talking about. When you're going through it, it's sort of a shame. Your family doesn't, unfortunately, your family loves you, but they don't want other people to know because there's so much fear geared towards it. But I was able to heal, and I was told by 4 doctors that I was going to die, and I didn't. I'm here. And actually, I always tell people how cancer actually saved my life. And it brings tears to my eyes because it did. I was not living my truth, and I was ashamed of who I was. I'm like quivering, so I can't get the words out. I was ashamed of being what I was about, which was nothing to be ashamed of. Being intuitive and being really connected spiritually is something that shone on in every culture. When I was a little girl, I was very intuitive and very connected spiritually, but it was so scary. And I always tell people there's no schools for spiritual people. There are no people back then, back in the 80s, there were no one who could guide me in that direction. So I kind of pushed it away. And when I got ill, I had to seek spiritual healers. I had to seek people who were not, I kind of lost faith in the medical system because all they wanted to do is, I had unfortunately breast cancer, and all they wanted to do is, a mastectomy, which is chopping off your womanhood. And I didn't agree with that, and I said no to that. And I found a doctor who finally agreed with me, who said, okay, let's work with you and help you recover without doing a massive surgery. And it is possible because I'm here and I did that. And that's for another video. Today, I want to talk about how, when I was sick, I was able to deal with it. I studied the books by Dr. Bruce Lipton, Biology of Belief, and I also studied Joe Dispenza. And and I listened to all their meditations. I actually became a Buddhist and I started meditating. I had been meditating for a long time. I seek the help of two Buddhist nuns while I was unfortunately on my almost deathbed with my first chemo. It was so strong that I ended up in the hospital with 0.01% white blood count, which was near death. You know, someone would have sneezed on me, I would have died, but I survived. And there were so many premonitions the night before, and I'll tell you about that, I guess, in another video. But I was warned about that day, the night before that it happened. It was wow. It just feels like a long time ago. It was back in 2017, and I'm finally strong enough to talk about it, because for the longest time, even after recovery, because I didn't want to do the double mastectomy, I had to do massive amounts of chemo. And the reason I'm alive is because I did other things along the side of, I did a lot of natural herbal stuff with conventional medicine, and I did so many unconventional. Like one of the habits I had, I would meditate every morning and every evening, half an hour. It didn't matter what was going on, I was gonna do that. Exercise daily. My food changed. I started to water fast for days. The day before chemo, the day of chemo, the day after chemo, I fasted, and my doctor warned me not to do it. She said, you have to eat. It doesn't matter. And they would have chips, things that are actually really not good for you. At the doctor's office, they would have chips and popcorn, not, you know, anyway, like horrible food, chocolate and sugar. The first thing when you're ill, you got to get off of all of the things that are coming in a box, only whole foods. I guess this video is becoming about how I healed. So, you know, I digress. So let's get into what Grant Cardone wrote, because it's actually related to how I survived also. The number one is mindset. So today I'm going to focus on mindset. The 4 topics he talked about were mindset, marketing, people, and scaling. So I'll do a little brief talk about each one, what he meant by each, and then we'll focus on mindset. So by mindset is to change your mind, but he was talking about wealth. But I want to tell you about how to be intuitive, because I feel like if you're intuitive, you can help heal any illness, including cancer or any other heart issues or anything that people tell you or the doctors tell you that there's no turning back. Of course, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm just giving you intuitive advice to not give up on yourself, and don't give up on your freedom. Don't give up on your progression, no matter where you are in life. If it's poverty, if it's illness, you can get back up here. I did it, and you can too. And I'm a single mom, but I had amazing friends and family. I couldn't have done it without them. But my parents actually left their home and moved in with me. They would take turns months at a time to live with me, to help me through my journey, which was, I'm very blessed in that regard. Motorcycle going down the road, sorry. So let's focus on, we said mindset. So mindset, I wrote 2 books that are really helpful. Cybernetics, which is free on YouTube. That's wonderful. You can get it either on audiobook. I have it on audiobook, and it's also free on YouTube, as I said. And then another book I highly recommend is Read the Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. Bruce Lipton is actually an actual doctor, and he researched, I believe he's a biology researcher, and he researched the biology of belief, meaning what you believe will happen, or so you can decide. That's the beauty of it. You can decide what you believe in. If you want to survive, or if you want to make millions, whatever it is that you want to, if you want to become the best cello artist. I love Hauser. He's the Italian cello artist. That's one of my favorite instruments. And then marketing. Marketing is, Grant was focused on branding yourself and marketing. He said he believes that marketing is more important than sales, because he says if you're marketing out there, if you're on YouTube or any other channel like Twitter and Instagram, and he talked about how they're all different channels. If you're on any of these, it is free marketing for you. So once you brand yourself, once you're famous, and then if you create a product, whether it's digital or tangible product, it is easy for you to sell it, because once you're popular, you're being followed, let's say, by 10, 15 million people, and even if 10% or 2% of those people purchase your products, you're making a lot of money. So that's what marketing points are. People means you need people to purchase your products. So yeah, the more meetings and connections you have, the more people you meet, the better you can scale or improve your business. And scaling, like number 4, what he meant by scaling was, let's say he said these people who are in the South, like Arkansas, Texas, all those places, or Louisiana. I grew up in Texas for a while, in Dallas. So he's right about this. He said these people, what they do is do their own lawn work, even though they're making $500,000 a year, or they do their own, cleaning of their homes, or whatnot. If something is wrong with the plumbing, they try to do it themselves. Change their own oil. But he was saying, no. Once you start making money, especially you're in the 400,000 range, you can reach 4 million. 10x. He always talks about 10x. So you can reach the higher level if you allocate those, and by scaling, he meant you allocate those jobs to the actual people who can do it, and then you can use your time to 10x your business. So I feel like that makes a lot of sense. All right, so let's start with mindset. Like I said, read Cybernetics. I believe 2 YouTube stars that always talk about this book. One is Patrick Bet-David, which I love, and he's a mentor of mine. And I follow him and his career, and I listen to a lot of his business advice, and he's amazing. I've gone to a couple of his, he has the Vault every August, which is right on my birthday. It's August 31st. I don't know why it's on my birthday, but I guess it's a sign that I should go. I missed it this year, but I went last year, met a lot of amazing people, and that would relate to number 3, people. Going to seminars would create that. And so Patrick always talks about cybernetics. Also, Aaron Doughty, I believe, he's very famous, and he talks about law of attraction, and he talks about letting go, and he was a shoe salesman at Nordstrom's, who is making millions now, and he has moved from Vegas, bought a home in Sedona, and then moved to Austin. He lives in Austin. I followed his career and listened. He's very valuable lessons in learning on letting go of the past, so you can move into the future. So I'll bring you to how that psycho-cybernetics. So basically, with psycho-cybernetics was written by Maxwell Maltz, which is who is a plastic surgeon. And it's crazy because I worked at a plastic surgery office right before my diagnosis, 2016. For a while, I worked for a friend of mine who's a plastic surgeon. I was right out of college. I finished Pepperdine, and I was going through my divorce, and it was not a good time for me. And I said, I need a job. And he was a friend of mine, and and then he said he was hiring. A week later, he said, my mom loves you. I'm a good friend of his mom. So he said, oh, my mom loves you, so I want to hire you. Come work for me. So that was that. So I learned a lot of the things that Maxwell Maltz talks about plastic surgery in his book. I actually saw in our clients at my work. The doctor I worked with is an amazing doctor. He would turn away young, beautiful men and women who wanted plastic surgery because they were insecure on the inside. And meanwhile, we're looking at them, when they come in. Part of my job was, because it's a male doctor, I would have to accompany him into the room when the client takes off their clothes. I have to be there due to all these lawsuits and sexual harassment stuff, so that somebody else is a witness for the doctor to protect the doctor. So if the person feels uncomfortable, we can discuss it as a group. Anyway, nothing ever like that ever happened. He's an amazing doctor. So, but I'm just trying to describe that's the rule. So I was in the room with him when he's interviewing future clients. And I kid you not, he turned away a lot of young people who wanted plastic surgery because psychologically they didn't feel good inside. And what he would do is look at them, and they were perfect. And I would look at them, they looked perfect in every way. And I remember this one particular thing really stuck in my mind. It was a young man, came from a very wealthy South American family. So he had a lot of money to spend, and he was a little overweight, but he was, a handsome human being, very, very cute, very handsome person, and just a little chubbier, but he had lost a lot of weight, and he was on his way to losing more. He was only 25, 26. I mean, it's no big deal. It might have taken him, he wanted to lose an extra 20 pounds. It might have taken him maybe 4 or 5 months if he focused on with a trainer and diet and nutrition, etc. But he wanted a tummy tuck, and we're looking at him and we're thinking, tummy tucks are for people who have massive stretch marks and they've lost a lot of weight, and the skin is actually flopping over and causing heat, all sorts of issues. He didn't have that, and he wanted liposuction and a tummy tuck, and the doctor was trying to talk him out of it. And meanwhile, that's why, I love the doctor I work with, because he wasn't about money. He was about helping people achieve their goals in becoming secure, in their own body. And what psychocybernetics talks about, the doctor talks about, gives an example of a person who would have surgery. Even after surgery, when they became aesthetically pleasing to others, they still had those insecurities. They didn't feel any different. Or there were others who, because of the surgery, would feel secure and their life would change. They would become way better, in terms of achieving their goals. And so he got into psychology. He started learning more about human psychology, and he was able to deduce that it's all mindset. It has nothing to do with your exterior. It's up to you what you decide with what you have at your disposal. Let's say you are an average human being. And these are, when you go out, sometimes you see people, couples, that one is way more beautiful than the other one. I'm not trying to offend anyone, but this is just a common thing that we notice. And you're like, oh my God, why is she with him? Or why is he with her? Thinking like in terms of looks, standards of society, one is on a higher scale than the other one. And we are always shocked as a society. The reason being, he talks about, is because it has to do with your mindset. If you think you are amazing, you will be. You have to decide that in your head. It has nothing to do where you came from, who your parents are, and what you look like. So I'll reveal something about myself. During the time that I was ill, I decided, I was hanging out with a friend of mine who loved to dance, who loved to go out. She was always invited to different parties and really elaborate events in Hollywood, and had a great time with her. So a couple months into chemo, I had lots of chemo. I had to shave my head. Because I was losing it, and the doctor said it's better to shave it because it's gonna all fall off anyway. And it was, it was a very heart-wrenching situation. I had to ask my mom to, cut my hair, and it was very emotional. She cried, and and I cried, and it was just like very emotional. Anyway, but I didn't let that get to me. She had bought me 3 wigs. My mom is the best. She bought me 3 wigs. I had a long wig, and I had a short wig, and I had a funky wig. But the funky one I never wore. But I wore the long one all the time. It made me look like Betty Boop, and I was doing a lot of water fasting, so I'd lost a lot of weight, and I was fitting into these gorgeous clothing, and so I would dress up. I'd put on the wig, and I'd go dancing on the weekends because I didn't want to think that I had cancer. And the more as time would go on, my eyebrows started to fall out. And then as time would go on, my lashes started to fall out. So I learned how to draw in and pencil in my eyebrows. So it all has to do your mindset. I did not act like a cancer patient. I didn't believe that some of the doctors that told me that I was dying, I actually told them to F off. I gave them the F word in my head. I'm polite, I wouldn't say it, but it's like, when I went home, I raged and talked badly about them. I think a fucking asshole doctor thinks I'm dying. I'm not dying, you're dying, No, I don't wish death on anyone, but I was like so angry that, someone else tried to decide that for me. Anywho, so I put on my wig, and this is where the intuition comes from. Let me tell you, when I was a little girl, very, very young. This is when I was 4 or 5, first grade, second grade. I was obsessed with drawing the perfect eyebrow. So this, you human beings, wonderful friends and human beings that are watching, you have those similar intuitive nature. I had predicted this day because when I drew on my eyebrows, they matched exactly and they look natural. I'll post a photo from that time. And I remember way back when I was a little girl, I was obsessed with drawing eyebrows. It gives me goosebumps. And matching them. Make sure the left side and the right side match exactly. I spent years and years, well into my 20s, practicing how to draw eyebrows. And then so when I was in high school, I was obsessed with art and I loved art. So I had practiced from such a young age. So even now, today, I am very good at drawing portraits. If you come to my home, a lot of times I offer my friends, let me draw your portrait. And it takes me 5 to 10 minutes to draw, a basic portrait of someone. I'm not as good at it these days because I haven't practiced as much, but I can get the basic, the eyebrows, the nose, the lips without the shading. I can do it within 5 or 10 minutes. And I learned that and I became a painter from the eyebrows. I went into painting and I became a great at painting portraits. And I've done a couple of them. I've done one of my brother and I've done a couple of Goya's wife and myself also. The point being that everything you need is at your disposal. You may not know it now. You may be distracted by your bills or by your angry family or by where you live. Maybe you are in a level of income that you're not happy with. And so you're busy with worrying about your bills, and which Grant, I highly recommend you watch this webinar that he did this morning, the live webinar this morning, because he talks about that. Whatever you focus on, you're attracted to. So people who are focusing on their debts and what they owe, that's what's going to be in their attention, and that's what's going to happen. You're going to notice that more. He says no, 95% of your focus should be on your wealth, accumulating that wealth. And if you don't have much of it, you need to focus on it and work on it daily so that you achieve it, ignoring your debt. Obviously, you're going to pay your debt and you're going to be a great citizen paying it as you go. But he's talking about how if you look at your income, you only have 2 or 3 sources of income. He was saying if you're married, you have 2 sources of income. You may have some life insurance, you may have some stocks or bonds, and so he counted those as income. And what he was saying is that, but then, what are your liabilities? Your rent, your gas in the car, utilities, food, furniture, paying for kids' colleges, paying for entertainment. Anyway, a lot. Your liabilities way overextend our for sources of income. So he wanted to really stress to focus 95%. He was saying he focuses 97% of his time on building his assets, and I truly believe that, because from 25, now he's 30, I believe now he's 64. He doesn't even look 64. I think he looks more like a 50-year-old. He's so young and vibrant, and because he loves his life. Another person, I'm trying to think who it was, I believe it was Jake Ducey. He said, focusing on your wealth. If you focus on your, not wealth, being statically happy. If you are statically happy and you're focused on that, that means you are rich financially, emotionally, and also relationship-wise. You have everything you need. So if you, instead of focusing, I want to buy this house for $1 million or this car, the Ferrari or Lamborghini, whatever that is that you regard as an amazing car. Instead of focusing on these items one by one, focus on being happy. And when you are happy, is that because you do have that home that you desire. You do have the lover that you desire. You do have enough money that makes you happy, that makes you achieve your goals. So to make a long story short, My focus today was on mindset, and how when I was really, really sick, all I did was put on a wig, put on a sexy dress, and I went dancing. And I recovered. I recovered from a cancer that was 3.5, and I was told I was going to die by several people. I was actually in the hospital after my first chemo, and I almost did die, but I did not. I'm here. Look at me, flesh. I'm here, and so are you. And let's get together. Let's encourage each other. Let's learn intuition. Rely on your intuition, and the way you do that is by meditation. If you need my help, you can ask me questions. I would love to share with you any questions you may have. I will try to do my best in terms of answering it. I'm a Reiki healer. If you need that, also I am here to help you. One of my superpowers when it comes to Reiki is that when I help heal friends, I see the past trauma or karma that caused that illness or pain in the body or whatnot. Otherwise, it's just an amazing feeling. It really releases all the what it does is it balances the chakras so that you feel good right after. That's the least that Reiki does. It just makes you feel amazingly balanced and connected to the stars. And you need, basically, we are both connected to the stars and also to the ground. We're grounded. We're an antenna, and we have an auric field, as you know, around us, which extends miles and miles away. And we need to learn how to keep our auric field healthy and vibrant so that we can invite the right people into our lives. We can invite the abundance that we deserve into our life. Remember, friends, you were created in the image of God. And what does that mean? Don't let yourself act less than that. Don't let yourself see anything less than that. You're beautiful inside and out. I wish you all the best health, wealth, and abundance. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Anahita TV. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your comments and survival stories. That's how I started this video, because I was thinking about how many Hollywood stars are being interviewed. Why not interview your next door neighbor, the person who survived, the mother who has 5 children or 4 children, or however many children and is homeschooling them, or the father who came from a very poor family, was able to put food on the table and create a very warm household. You know, these are, I call them the everyday heroes, and I love interviewing people like that. And if you consider yourself or a friend, please leave a comment. You know, I would love to meet new people and interview them and find out more. I believe we can share, and I love how we are able to share our experiences these days via all, you know, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all of these amazing media formats. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.